Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists Podcast with me, Gavin Cook.
And me, Jackson White.
And this evening, we've got Lucci Del-Gaudio. I hope I've got that right, but I'm sure I've got it terribly wrong. So Lucci is a lifetime Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. He's also the organizer of the Kaizen Martial Arts show. So we're super happy to get you on today.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Oh, thanks for coming on. It's
Thanks
great.
for having us. Really,
point to note, I think I mentioned before, you're our first Jiu-Jitsu practitioner on. And that's obviously not through lack of trying. It's just
they don't talk much. That's why.
Just adding to the business end of things.
Yeah, it's because they're always in chokes. That's the problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're just going to kick off then for our audience.
Yeah, sure.
Just really want to understand a little bit about you and your growing up, your path, how you were educated, where you grew up, and ultimately, I suppose, how that led you into martial arts.
Yeah, I grew up, Jackson, in a place called Sneinton in Nottingham, just on the outskirts of the Nottingham city centre. Okay. It was very multicultural. My first friends were Asian. Obviously Italian. I come from a massive Italian family. I'm probably part of one of the biggest Italian families in Nottingham. Seven sons, one daughter, five of us at Dan grade in Jujitsu. Honestly, my mother, bless her, always said, I've got 7 sons and not one of you can play football, which, you would think, with all these boys in the family, being Italian and very passionate about football, that at least one of us will make it to, Wembley Stadium or playing football for our country.
Not Forest.
No, that's a swear word in my house, that one. The other one. Yeah, so it was round about, well, I tell you, it was, my brothers were doing martial arts anyway. They was doing Jiu-Jitsu anyway. And I was quite young. I was around about 9 years old. And it was a premiere of Enter the Dragon on TV, but it was an uncut version of Enter the Dragon.
Brilliant.
And it was on a school night. I had to go to bed. So my brothers are there, like, watching Enter the Dragon. One of my brothers persuaded mum to let me watch it anyway. Okay, so next day I went to school, and half of the playground was absolutely battering each other. So break time come, half the playground was absolutely battering each other. And it was clear to see that, half of Stenson,
Watch Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon, this little guy, Bruce Lee, absolutely battering each other. So here I was, I'm practicing the moves with my mates and everything. One of the guys did karate. So there's a karate school in Stenson called the Zanshin, run by Sensei Simon Oliver, who's very, very well known in the karate world. And he was my first karate teacher. I trained with him. However, I can remember my brother gave me his old judo suit, so I turned up to a karate lesson with a judo gi, and it was just like bloody hell, this is really heavy.
Bit warm on a nice summer's day.
That's it. You've got it. They took the Michael out of me all the time for doing karate, and I didn't do jiu-jitsu. So I got to like purple belt level and packed that in because I couldn't take the bullying and the beats from my brother. My brother's my teacher. He was my teacher as well. There's 15 years between us. So he was like the big brother, if you like. Always constantly took the Michael for me taking karate. And for them it was jiu-jitsu or nothing, and fair play. They're not really like me. It wasn't like me. I'm very open-minded, and I like to cross train and explore other arts. So I went on to do Jiu-Jitsu. My first class, my brother pulled out a bag of brand new crispy gi. So on my first lesson, you know, you get students going to the first lesson, and tracksuit bottoms at the top. I had a perfectly brand new crisp gi from Blitz. And it was a time when Blitz just dominated everything. Didn't they? Yeah. Blitz dominated. So I had this Blitz gi, and it was absolutely, put it on. Couldn't put a belt. Oh, well, yeah, put my belt. I could put a belt on. I was like, it was just weird putting a white belt on. I'm there. And I went to his teacher. My first jiu-jitsu class was his teacher's class. He opened he was from Chesterfield. His name was Steve Elliott. He opened a club in Nottingham, just down the road from where I lived as well. So it wasn't, you know, getting there wasn't too bad. And I'm there, and I stood out a mile because I've got this white gi on, crispy white gi. I'm quite big. I've always been quite big. So I was a really big 12-year-old kid, quite tall 12-year-old kid. And I stood out like a sore thumb. And Mr. Elliott, Sensei Elliott said, "Who's this guy? Surely not another brother." And my brother's like, yeah, this, all the black belts at the front. Yeah, this is the last one, and this is the youngest. So there it is. So it started there. And I followed my brother around everywhere. He went on to open clubs all around Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire area. He built a little mini empire, to be fair. We must have had about 28 clubs around that area, and instructors and everything. Yeah, really did. He didn't have an academy though. I don't know, understood that. I asked him once, well, you know, why don't we get our own like academy and our own building? And he basically said, because you've got an electric bill, you've got a gas bill, you've got that bill, you've got that. And he just reeled all this. He was like, well, he's like always right. Do you know what I mean? He's like, when you think you've got him. What's
your saying for that, Gav? You've got a good saying for that, haven't you?
I probably have. You put me on the spot now, but that's what I always used to say. That's what I mean. It's that dilemma that every martial artist has, isn't it? You know, because obviously we still train out of schools, village halls. I mean, we've got good sized clubs, and people are always like, "Oh, when are you going to get your own purpose built dojang?" And I'm like, it's just vanity. You know, it's just a lot of it is just, you know, as a martial arts instructor, you have this vision, don't you, of owning your own school and all the mats and the trophies on the wall. And but then all of a sudden you've got staff, you've got heat, you've got light, you've got power, you've got to put
business
your prices
rates
up. You've got to put your prices up to cover all these things. And next thing you know, you start losing students because you're going to the next level.
Because some jiu-jitsu guys just opened up next door.
Exactly. There's a few jiu-jitsu full-time academies. I know quite a lot, and good on them as well. Good on to all of them. You know what I mean? The UK has some great academies all the way through the country.
Yeah. But for us, it gives us that flexibility, doesn't it? Because if someone does open up next door to you, you can always move to the next school or to the next town or village. So it gives you that little bit of freedom rather than being fixed to I suppose, an academy, doesn't it?
Then there's that other question there, Jackson. You know, you've sort of like opened the can of worms there. Is it our competition, other martial art clubs?
No,
I get a lot of sticks.
So.
Well, I used to get a lot of stick from the clubs around my area.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, threat to me. There shouldn't be no threat. Exactly.
Clubs. Yeah.
That's what we used to say.
My daughter's dance school is my main competition. Honestly, do you know what I mean? You dance schools, your gymnastics,
the scouts. They always on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night.
Yeah. One of my busiest classes was on the same night as my son's army cadets. Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's my competition, not the karate school. Good on them, mate. Right. You do what you do.
So, the thing is, when someone tries a martial arts for the first time, they don't really know what they're trying, do they? They just walk into the nearest place, and it could be judo, it could be jiu-jitsu, it could be taekwondo, it could be karate, whatever. They'll go in there, and generally, if they like it, they'll stick with it. If they don't like it, they'll go, I've tried martial arts. I'm going to do cricket. I'm going to do cricket next. I'm going to try swimming now. You know, so.
In my area, there was a boxing club, there was a karate club, and a judo club. I went to all three.
Yeah. Okay.
I went to all three, and that's it. If it was kung fu, aikido, or kickboxing, I still would have gone to all three. Yeah. Because when you're a teenager, you got no transport. You don't travel, do you? You don't travel. You don't go out your next town. So it's still
you're lucky if you get the bus, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Bus or bike?
How old are you? How old are you, Lucci?
What now?
Yeah.
I was born in 1975. I was working at 46. Just turned 46 last month.
Same age as me. And
I know, but I look really good, don't I, for my age?
You look awesome. I was about to say.
Cheers.
Well, I had you down for
lost my hair, and I wear glasses now.
So same for me. Bold glasses on. Thing is, I can't grow beard. That's it.
Bold men are cool.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I suppose the reason I asked that is because obviously in our era, when we were youngsters, there wasn't that choice and that variety. You pretty much went what was the nearest place to where you lived, wasn't it? You know, if a martial arts school opened up in the community centre around the corner from your house, that's where your mum took you.
That's where you took. Exactly. Exactly. I was fortunate that I was lucky that the area. I love the area. I'm so glad I grew up the area which I did. Do you know what I mean? It taught me that what I learned from it was just I learned from the streets. I learned a lot from the streets. It was a rough area. But I was mixing with black and Asian kids, Chinese kids. It was generally multicultural. It really was. And I knew no different. I knew no different at all. Okay. One day, this got nothing to do with martial arts, but I'm gonna mention it anyway. One of the neighbours said to me when I was like 7 years old, "You don't belong in this country." And I was like, "What?" I was going to school. My best friends were Pakistanis, and do you know what I mean? We had a Caribbean family next door, but one, and I was friends. We all walked to school together. And this woman, just randomly, one of the neighbours, randomly, "You don't belong in this country." And I said to my dad, I said, this woman said that to me, and he sat me down. He says, "You know what, son? You need to be proud of your roots. No one's going to accept you as an English person in this country." And I was like, I mean, that stuck for me forever, man. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting. I've got a similar story from when I was a kid.
Tough, man. Honestly.
I think. Do you not think though? You are.
Made me a man. You know what I mean?
My heritage is Jamaican, mixed Irish Jamaican.
Yeah.
But I'm British. I'm English. In fact, I'm even worse. If I go out with my classmates and the rugby's on, I'm English. I fought for my country. So although I do appreciate my heritage, but at the end of the day, I was born in this country. I've done more for this country than most people. Fighting in 2 wars, 3 wars, 4 conflicts, I suppose. So I class myself as English, and I'm proud to call myself that. I think you just got to rise above that small-mindedness, haven't you? Because that's what makes our country great. That diversity.
It taught me that. But man, I tell you now, man, when the football's on,
you bet you were torn, weren't you?
It's a different game. It's a different story, mate. 1990, 82, 2006. Yeah, every World Cup, every every Euro.
Right, you can imagine it in my house when Jamaica were in the World Cup, can't you? Me and my dad were at loggerheads.
Yeah. My brother was in Jamaica. His wife's Jamaican, and he was in Jamaica during that World Cup. He was on his honeymoon in Jamaica during that World Cup. Oh, Joey, but there you go.
Right, back to the Jiu-Jitsu. So, what was it that you fell in love with the Jiu-Jitsu then when you went to your first club?
Right, I could kick or punch because I was doing boxing. I was boxing as well. I was boxing under a guy called Tommy Thompson against Stenson Amateur Boxing Club. Really, really tough club. No health and safety. Wires coming out the ceiling. Yeah. We had to climb up like this dodgy ladder to go up to like this basement for a sparring. And when we were sparring, the old building was shaky. They've knocked it all down now, thank God, because it was this. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them. It was one of them. Rocky Balboa wasn't even training it. Do you know what I mean? It was just one of their old gyms. But and so I could kick or punch. I could kick and punch anyway. Do you know what I mean? And I was pretty good at it because I was like tall, slim, long reach and long legs, and I was really good at it. Jiu-Jitsu, I just I didn't know what I was expecting. And I got there, and first of all, they was doing break falls and things like that. Break fall is like the art of landing safely. Sure. So they was doing like roly polies, jumping around, smashing each other onto the mat. The arm locks and a lot of escapes. And it was really, really very combative and really like proper get stuck in. And I'm like, yeah, I like this. I like it. I like it because it was really physical, and you know what I mean. People just battering each other all over the mat, and I went from training on a beautiful, polished, cold floor onto mats, which was really like strange. This is, do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was. I really did. Yeah, and I think that's why. And plus, like the fact my brother was, I was watching, you know, Big Brother training and teaching as well, which was really inspiring because he taught me, he showed me the ropes to go and train and go and teach, and how to open a club and things like that. I opened my first club when I was 21. Absolutely failed miserably. Really failed. I discovered like the Happy Mondays and things like that, going out partying and nightclubs and football matches and fighting.
I bet I probably bumped into you at the Black Orchid on a Saturday night, probably, when it used to be there.
I got banned from there. So I live down the road. I live down the road.
Did you really?
It's just an empty building.
Yeah,
generally down the road. 10 minutes.
It's funny because the rumours always used to be that when you get to the Black Orchid, there was 7 women for every bloke. This was always the rumours, and was like, no, we've got to go to the Black Orchid. So of course, every bloke from the whole of the world travels there on a Saturday night, and used to get there. It was 20 blokes to 1 woman by the time on a Saturday night.
Good bit of marketing, eh?
Yeah.
Good bit of marketing.
So just talk us through the you know, I must admit, I'm not very familiar with Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm sure a lot of our audience won't be. So just talk us through the syllabus that you follow and how it's graded and how you progress in the art. Yeah,
sure. With the Jiu-Jitsu I taught was from a guy, he's not with us no more, Professor Robert Clark, or Soki Robert Clark. And that Jiu-Jitsu, it was all translated in English. So my Japanese terminology is absolutely rubbish. Right. Okay, so it was like a set of moves, just like any other art. Yeah, you know, from white belt up to like 5th degree. I completed the lot. I think it was every 3 to 4 months there was a grading available. You know, I did lots of gradings, and it's but problem I left my federation purely because of politics. They didn't give me no wings, and it was a massive step. Yeah. It was a massive step because I wasn't just leaving my federation and association. I was leaving family behind as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I went into self-defense quite heavily, and the reality-based martial arts, and I was like torn between the two. So today I teach combat jiu-jitsu. I've got the best of both worlds, and to do that I had to cut strings with a lot of people, family. Do you know what I mean? Association. So I had to cut strings and just go solo. And
was that
must have been difficult? Yeah, well,
must have been difficult.
Yeah. You get a lot of stick, but when you're not happy, I asked this question. I asked this question on whose podcast? Chris Jones's podcast. Chris Jones did something. Yeah. And I put forward, why do people leave their associations? There's got to be a reason. It's like when my students come to me, you want them to stay forever. You want them to, this will be your only club and that's it. You're not going nowhere because you want them there forever. You're hoping that, aren't you? You want to keep them for a long time.
But you know in your hearts, that's not the right thing for them.
No, it's not the right thing for them. Yeah, exactly.
No, I think anyone that runs a martial arts school as a business and they're living off it, you're right. You get your student in and you want them to stay with you forever.
You want them to stay with you forever. Yeah. But at the same time,
you
want to give them wings too. You want to give them wings too.
They're going to improve if they go to the... And we have this discussion with a few of our senior instructors in our organisation. They're like, no, Taekwondo, if you find a good sensei, you should be with them for life. Actually, in my mind, that's a little bit closed. You know, I want my students to be better than me, and I've done kickboxing, I've done karate, I've done taekwondo, I've done boxing, I've done gymnastics, I've played rugby, and that gives me a range of different skills, which I then brought together and really focused on the taekwondo side. You know, the different types of training, the different types of execution of techniques. But ultimately, I came back and I aligned myself and focused on the Taekwondo. And I would applaud any of my students. You see, don't go and train with such and such. Well, actually, go and train with him. I'm confident in my ability as an instructor in my own martial art, that I would encourage someone to go and train at another club. See how they do it. See what you can pick up. That instructor might be able to teach them.
I give my student wings. Yeah, definitely.
He might be able to teach you reverse punch in a way that he understands it better than I can explain it to teach it. Just that one thing. Yeah. It had grown from that. Yep. And then moving on to outside of Taekwondo or karate or kickboxing, go and learn something off somebody else, because you need to build a tool set. Yeah. And then you can take, the best martial artists in the world do that. Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, anybody that is anybody, even, and let's face it, Taekwondo came from karate, and Tang Sudo. And then somebody looked at the system, implemented it, mashed it up, and then delivered what he thought was the best thing. So I think anyone that says, you need to just focus on one thing is a little bit, in my opinion, and that's only
writing
my
chapters.
Opinion.
The writing chapters. That's all that.
Even student or even instructors within your own club, there's a lot of instructors that get really, let's say you have a black belt that steps in for you for a session, and then or say you're on holiday and you come back up and realize, Mr. Cook, we love training with so and so. I'm like, great, that's great. I want to hear that. That's what you.
You
shouldn't be scared of that. You shouldn't be like, I'm not happy about that.
Exactly.
You should be proud of them, for actually giving and delivering a good class.
Yeah, I've seen lots of insecurity in martial arts. Even today, I see it. I see lots of insecure instructors what are frightened of losing students. Yeah, it's a full-time living. Yeah, but there's lots of help out there, marketing help and business help. There's lots of help out there. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of help out there. I remember years and years and years ago, it wasn't one of my brother's clubs. It was another jiu-jitsu club. I'm talking a really long time ago. I was like a young lad. Someone came along from a different city, couldn't train because he was from a different jiu-jitsu organization, because they had the fear of stealing techniques and feeding back.
Yeah, ludicrous. You just look on you nowadays. You just look on YouTube.
We got you. The kids have got YouTube now. There you go. Yeah.
So just go back to your first club. So on a serious note, I know you said you got into your socializing. So what was it? What were those first mistakes, and what did they teach you?
The first mistake was listening to the Happy Mondays.
Yeah. I've always been a Stone Roses man myself, to be
fair. I left school with the Happy Mondays album and a black eye, and that was it, man. That's what happened.
It's just some of our younger listeners that are thinking, I'm going to get to 21, I'm going to start my own school. What were those fundamental things that you got wrong? Because you'll be able to help them. I
rushed into it. Really did rush into it. I was an assistant coach for years and years. Ever since I was like little, I was one of the main ukis. Then when I was about 16, I got given a little group. I was like, I really like this one. 7, you know what I mean? You get these little groups, and you're covering for other instructors and covering for other clubs at such a young age. I was just really, really keen to open a class. I could see it in my brother's face when I says, I got my teaching qualifications, got all that. I had everything. I had the right tools. I got the school. I made my own posters and went round everywhere and put posters up. It was quite good, but I think I was just too young. It was just couldn't commit to it. Could not commit to it. Especially it was the 90s, and do you know what I mean? It was a great time. Do you know what I mean? 1996 Nedworth. I were there, and do you know what I mean? It was things like that. Do you know what I mean? And the Euros, football, going to football matches, and you're going to get drunk with your pals, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
You're not just going to go and watch them bloody match. You're going to get drunk with your pals. And it was like...
The 90s were the best times.
I know there was. And no. If I was 31, I would have been all right. I would have done it. I would have been all right. But no. And
but do you think though the sort of the failure that you had in that club has led you to the success that you've got now?
Yeah. I'm ready this time. My wife and my mother-in-law got me back into training because I had a little break. To be honest, not long, just a short break. Just needed to see what I'm doing in life. I was on the door. I went to the door. I was on the doors for 5 years, and crap job. Really was a crap job. Stupid fights, wasted time. When I look back at it, I think, oh God, what an absolute muppet. What, do you know what I mean? But it wasn't all that bad. I met my wife when I was on the doors, and she got me back into teaching because you want to teach. So I opened my senior club about 11 years ago, 11 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. It's our 10-year anniversary. And the mother-in-law said, you should teach kids as well. I'm like, oh, fucking, you know what I mean? Oh, bloody hell. All right, yeah, I'll teach kids then. And today, I didn't want it to be really, really huge. It's all right. We've got about 80 members, and I'm really happy with that. And we've had 80 members for about 10 years. You know what I mean? One leaves.
Get another one.
I mean, I've got a good handful full of black belts. I've got a couple of second dans. It's cool. It's good. It's good. We haven't got loads and loads of numbers. We're not the biggest, and we're not the smallest, but we are comfortable and we are happy, which is
just on that then. So I know you talked about numbers of your club and everything. How have you fared over the pandemic? Because I know we've had this discussion with a lot of taekwondo and karate people and saying it must be difficult for like your judo and your jiu-jitsu people because it's all about contact, isn't it?
Yeah, I've spoke about this loads. Fortunately, lucky for us, we've got a striking syllabus, which I was gonna put out. I was gonna put out there. We went to Rome in the February. We came back from Rome, then lockdown come. And when I was in Rome, I'm like, right, as soon as I come back, I'm going to put this striking course. I'm going to put the striking syllabus out. And of course, we went into the lockdown. The first lockdown, I didn't do no Zoom classes because it was like, I'm a Jiu-Jitsu teacher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But second lockdown, and I lost absolutely loads. I lost loads. I lost a good 65%. I lost straight away. Honestly, on the first, I like a lot of clubs. I lost straight away.
It was hard, though, wasn't it? It was hard.
Oh,
I mean,
killer.
I mean, you think back. I mean, I know we've all changed a lot. I think when you look back at the person you was a year ago, it's probably a lot different from the person you are now in terms of the amount of growth that you had to do to keep your business alive. But I remember when that first pandemic hit, and we were like, "What the hell? We're martial arts instructors. What the hell are we going to do?
What do we do now?" Yeah, because, exactly.
It was. I mean, we've got so used to Zoom now, haven't we? And so used to. It's like it's like you don't even think about it now.
It's part of my life now. I use it for work, my podcast, things like this. Classes. But do you know what? It's bloody going as well. It's going. It's okay. Podcast and business, mate. It's absolutely going. So we've got this striking. This second lockdown. Mm-hmm. Now, Cobra Kai come out. My figures went quite high up. They went over. I was like, something really weird is happening. And I think because when Cobra Kai started, I generally think it's what's needed for the martial arts industry. Something like that. We had the Karate Kid, didn't we? We had the Karate Kid, Bruce Lee,
Kickboxer,
Karate Kid,
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Exactly. The 80s martial art movies inspired a lot. There you go. Then it just stops, didn't it? Now Cobra Kai's come out, and I know I've got a few students, new ones, what have been inspired by Cobra Kai. And as we said earlier, they don't know it's Jiu-Jitsu yet until they walk in.
No.
They only know me around here as the guy who teaches martial arts. Go to him. He's got a really good reputation.
I wonder how many clubs are going to be using that logo. Wonder how many clubs are going to be using that logo now when they go back.
It's interesting because we do a lot of work in the US with our skills partners, and most of the people in the US were teaching Taekwondo until the Karate Kid came out, and then people were phoning up saying, "Oh yeah, I want to learn karate." Yeah, we do Korean karate. And that's just how they turned it. They just used the Karate Kid to help them use their course.
So yeah. If you game there, the hardest bit is get the student through the door. The rest is up to you, isn't it, mate? If they get that bug, then there you go. But yeah, I've got a Cobra Kai t-shirt, but in my defense, I brought it well before the Cobra Kai. I think it's a bit cringy when you see grown men with publicly saying,
it's like a bad dad.
I can't wait for Cobra Kai. I watched it secretly.
I was going to wear it tonight if I'd known. It's in my wardrobe.
Yeah, I watched it secretly, but it's got something for our age group. Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit of reminiscence, isn't it?
It's awesome.
It is funny because we asked people. I remember when I first started watching it on Netflix, one of my go-to questions to our guests were like, "Are you a Cobra Kai? Or are you a
Miyagi-Do?"
And everyone's like, "Oh, I'm Cobra Kai, man. I'm Cobra Kai now."
That's Cobra Kai. That's Cobra Kai 1984, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. As soon as that scene, pain does not exist in this dojo, does it? I was like, I would be like him. He's the man. Do you know what I mean? Even in Rocky 4, even Drago, man, did you like Rocky? And that's coming from Italian. All about Drago, man. All about the buddies. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
So just talk us through then. So you got your strike. You're on your Zoom now. You're looking forward to opening up. I take it.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait.
Good.
Can't wait.
So talk us through your podcast, because that's how I linked into you. I saw the podcast. Oh, this is interesting.
I won't call it. I won't go that far, man. It's not like what you guys do.
Of course, it's a podcast. You're out there. You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
you're putting yourself out there. And you're talking to people.
Yeah, I just like talking to people. That's all. I thought I'll do a podcast. It was an accidental podcast. I started with the Kaizen. I was like, I wanted with the Kaizen expo. I wanted people to actually meet the people who are teaching and people involved in Kaizen. So I thought, right, the way to do it is to give them a Zoom interview. And nothing fun. I ain't got a fancy banner at the back of me and I just get straight onto it. Man, I can't be bothered with all that. I just get straight onto it. And I find, and if you like me, everyone fast forwards that bit. They don't want to hear that. Piss off, man. Go on, let's get straight to it. So and I started doing that, and I was like. Jiu-Jitsu, man. I'm like thinking of Jiu-Jitsu and thinking of the old instructors and how the Jiu-Jitsu community just sort of like are in their own corner, if you like. They're in like their own bubble and they just don't. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pop it, man. I want to pop this bubble and get everybody. We're planning a big event in November dedicated to Jiu-Jitsu and grappling arts. I'll announce that very soon.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, man, I thought, well, how am I going to get in touch with these people? I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do a book. So I'm starting a book. I'm halfway through it called Jiu-Jitsu Journals, which focuses on European Jiu-Jitsu instructors. The Jiu-Jitsu instructors, what I grew up on, being my idols. I'm sure you guys got it in your Taekwondo as well. Yeah. I won't know who your Taekwondo grandmasters are, but in your Taekwondo world, they're walking legends. Yeah. And it's the same. It's the same in Jiu-Jitsu. My very first martial art idol or hero, if you like, was Professor Robert Clark. And I just want to showcase, all these great instructors, and also there's some modern instructors in there. So I've mixed it up a bit. And I thought, you know what, man? I was inspired. I watch. His name's Dwight. He does a JKD podcast dedicated to JKD, and he just talks to JKD guys. A couple of my friends have been on that, and it's from America, and I really enjoy. I really look forward to his Friday night podcast. Brilliant. And just to learn about JKD, because I've done a little JKD, and reason why I'm interested in JKD politics, because what I found with all the martial arts, the system I believe has the most politics in is Jeet Kune Do. Yeah. And there's only one man to blame, and that's Bruce Lee. Genuinely. So I'm like, do you know what? I got inspired by that, and I thought I'm going to do one just for Jiu-Jitsu. And it's called
finding that niche, isn't it? You just got to find your niche and just go for it.
Yeah, really. And it's called It's All Jiu-Jitsu, and people who know me will know why I've called it that. It's got a bit of a twist to that one, as it's all Jiu-Jitsu because it is all Jiu-Jitsu. And you know, when I'm out on seminars, I'm going around the country and I'm teaching and you know, and I'm meeting up with my martial art pals, it comes out of my mouth all the time. Yeah, it's not bad, but you know, it's jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I'll find jiu-jitsu and taekwondo if it kills me. I will find it somewhere.
I'm sure there's elements in there somewhere.
Yeah. We'll find it. Yeah, so it's going all right. I'm on like episode 7, so it's good. I interviewed. It's going quite far out as well already. I interviewed the vice president of the Trinidad and Tobago Jiu-Jitsu Federation. Mm-hmm. They're doing great work out there. It really is. Jiu-Jitsu landed in the Caribbean in 1975, so 46 years ago. That's it.
So relatively young still.
Absolutely. BJJ's been in the Caribbean for 10 years, and this is what I found all this information out from this guy. And in Trinidad, there's only 50 registered martial art clubs in the whole country. 50. Wow. And it's growing. And you know, and they invited me over.
Yeah, you can't say no to that, can you?
No,
you can't say no.
Nice all-inclusive for a week.
Mate, get them mats on the beach. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wife can sunbathe. I'm out training. Nice one.
Perfect holiday. Perfect busman's holiday.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely.
So we're coming to the close of the interview now. So we always have a couple of questions that we like to ask our guests. So what's kept you motivated within the jiu-jitsu sphere over these years?
Martial arts has motivated me. All of martial arts has motivated me. But jiu-jitsu is it's my base. It's my. You cut my wrist, I'll bleed jiu-jitsu, and that's it. You get this. People who study jiu-jitsu will know the jiu-jitsu bug. It's a jiu-jitsu bug. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's lots of variations on techniques, variations on kata, lots of variations on everything. Do you know what I mean? I do a more of. Mine's a non-gi jiu-jitsu, it's a street incorporated jiu-jitsu kind of thing. It's combative, it's combat jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But that doesn't mean, you know, I've lost respect for traditional jiu-jitsu, traditional Japanese styles. I haven't, not whatsoever, because they're important. So I think that's why. That's just me, innit? We've all got our own thing, and that's right. And that's my piece. That's my piece of the cake, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
And then the final one, then what, you know, you've been in the martial arts game, not just jiu-jitsu, but obviously different martial arts. You know, what advice would you know, looking back now with the experiences that you've had through martial arts and in particular jiu-jitsu, what advice would you have given to a younger self?
Go abroad. Go abroad. Do you know what I mean? Go to the motherland and train. I wish I trained in Japan. I had chances, but you know, it's just didn't do it. I didn't do it. Do you know what I mean? My son's a K1. Hopefully, he'll be fighting K1 next year, and I'm already looking at clubs for him to go and train. I wanted to train abroad. We're planning a trip in Dubai in February. And I wanted to train there, and I found a school for him in Dominican. We'll go off to Dominican. So where we got, and I'm talking to him now. So like, you need to just, if you generally want to train with the best, go to the motherland and train. So go to Japan.
So just get that range of experience, I suppose, isn't it?
Just go. I interviewed Stuart Usher. I don't know if you know Stuart Usher. He's a taekwondo instructor, and he phoned me. He says, "I can't make your show because I've got to train. I've got a chance to train in Korea." I went, "Go, man, just bloody do it." And we spoke about him training in Korea, and it's a total different kettle, man. Honestly, I've spoke to people who are trained in Japan. So forget about you training here. Do you know what I mean? It's just totally different. I wish, you know, I'm hoping one day, you know, when the kids are older, we can I can go and do it. It's on my bucket list. It's on my
still young enough. Still young enough to, you know.
Yeah. You know, I'll go over as a white belt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me at all. I've got a green belt in judo. Don't matter to me. I don't mind putting the white belt on. I'm always the student.
Always taking something to learn. There's always something to learn.
Yeah, it does not matter to me, man. I'll go over as a beginner. It's no problem at all. No problem at all. So yeah, train. If you want to take it serious, you want to be at the top of your game. Go and train with the best. I'm fortunate. I've trained with the best in the world in the UK. I think I've trained with some amazing instructors. One thing I've not done is gone over to the motherland and trained. I've trained with Japanese. I've trained with Japanese instructors, but in the UK, I've tried. You know, I've done that, but I've not gone over to Okinawa and train there where it all started, where the route is.
Just don't wear your black belt and your Cobra Kai t-shirt when you go.
No chance. I'm not wearing it since, mate. It's really cringy. But everyone's to their own, man. Everyone's to their own.
Lucci, we're going to call it there. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on this evening, mate. Thank you for taking the time out to speak to us.
That's been good.
No problem.
Really good.
Like I say, it's just nice to hear about Jiu-Jitsu for once, isn't it? Again, we speak to a lot of Taekwondo and kickboxing and karate people, and like I say,
mix it up.
It is almost like a little bubble trying to get you guys. So hopefully,
if you've got some names for us, throw them over and we'll reach out to them. It'd be great to get
hundreds. I'm trying to. I'm trying to get on. I'm writing this book at the moment and just trying to, getting them to can we have a chat?
Yeah. People can be a bit reluctant, but once you get them on, you can't shut them up.
Old school. They're They didn't have all this. They didn't have all this when they was training. They just had the church old, didn't they? And
so just before we finish, then, just give us a shout out on your own podcast, so our listeners can flick over to it and have a look, and hopefully they'll come back to us as well.
Well, it's all Jiu-Jitsu. That's it.
It's all Jiu-Jitsu.
It's all Jiu-Jitsu. That is it.
Where can they get that? Like I say, I know you're not on Spotify and stuff yet, is it?
Not yet. That's going to be phase 2. See how we go. Yeah, I want to see on
Facebook.
The views.
Is it on Facebook?
Yeah.
You got a Facebook page or stuff like that?
Yeah, it's all Jiu-Jitsu. That's it. It's all Jiu-Jitsu. Cool. Go to pages and you'll see it there. Lucci Del-Gaudio on the personal page, and Kaizen Martial Arts Expo. But the Kaizen one, that really focuses on the people involved in Kaizen, really. But the we've had a few on one there. I've done the 25th episode on that one.
Fantastic.
So,
Okay, Lucci, absolute pleasure,
Thank
mate.
you.
Keep safe, and hopefully we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah.
Cheers,
All right.
Thanks
Take
very
care,
much.
man. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Motivated Martial Artist podcast. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our Facebook group, the Motivated Martial Artist podcast.
And don't forget also the Motivated Martial Artist Instagram page.
So head along for some extra content, interviews, and much more.
So until next week, it's bye from Jackson
and Gavin,
the Motivated Martial Artists.